Hi everyone, my name's Aaron Pallian. I'm one of the founders and race directors of the Ísland Extreme Triathlon, taking place on the Snæfellsnes Peninsula of Iceland, which is just north of Reykjavik, a couple hours. Most of you will fly into Reykjavik and then head north from there to make it to the race site. I wanted to take the time today to go over the race course, the swim, the bike, and the run, talk about logistics, weather, and some of the challenges that you and possibly your support team will encounter during that day. So first of all, I just wanted to point out, I've done this in most of the videos, and you should know by now if you're signed up for the race, but we have consolidated all of our races, Alaska, Iceland, and Aloha Man, into one website for your convenience and ours. It's extremetries.com. Extreme Endurance Events is our company name, which you can see on top of the website here. Extremetries.com. When you get here, there's tabs that have a tab for each race: Alaska, Iceland, Hawaii, and all the information for each separate race are in drop-down menus as you go. So we used to have separate websites. Alaska was AKX Tri, Iceland was ISLX Tri, and Hawaii was HIX Tri. So you can still reach some landing pages specifically for the race if you type in extremetries.com, backspace, and then the old website ISLX Tri after it. It'll pop up as a landing page specifically for the race within this Extreme Tries website. So just an easier way to kind of get some of the links to the information there if you want. But again, extremetries.com, and you can just scroll over to where it says Iceland, down to course maps and cutoffs, which is what we're going to go over today. Points of interest map is a live Google map that shows all of the areas, the points of interest that you'll encounter during the event. That is not a course map, but it shows in Olafsvik and at our swim start and along the bike course, and even in Reykjavik, we're going to be inputting things of interest that you may need during the event or before or after. So we haven't done that yet. Just keep trying that over the next month or two here, and we'll update you also when that's on there. As you can see, it says not active yet on here. So just be patient with us there as we get that updated. So as you scroll down, we have the event cutoff times. Briefly, I wanted to go over that. Keep in mind that at any time during the event, we reserve the right to pull you from the course for whatever reason. We're never just going to pull someone for the heck of it. There's going to be a good reason behind it, whether it's weather related or it shouldn't be wildlife related in Iceland like it is in Alaska from time to time. But you never know whether it's natural disaster. There are volcanoes, earthquakes, things of that nature in Iceland. It can be very severe weather at times, whether it's the cold or more than likely the wind. We're not going to cancel a race just to cancel a race. We're not going to alter it unless we absolutely have to, meaning changing the course, or that includes the direction and where you go, or even the distance, whether it's longer or shorter. We have every intention of sticking to what we have on here, but keep in mind with X-Tri, because it's so remote at times and in places that aren't usually set up for triathlons, like a lot of the ones out there that you may have done that aren't X-Tris, we do have to kind of roll with the punches and alter things from time to time from what's given to us. So this, as of now, we plan on the full 2.4 miles, 3,862 meters. Your cutoff is 2 hours, 20 minutes, which means you will average 3 minutes, 37 seconds per 100 meters. Faster than that's fine. Slower than that, obviously, you don't meet the cutoff and we will pull you. Now, along the way, we will have kayaks, some boats out there for your safety. If you need to rest, you can also, as long as it's not aiding you in actually going forward, you can hold on to one of those if you need to rest. Now, that being said, if we see along the way that you're dropping behind the pace that you should, everyone can say, oh, well, I just needed to go slower, I'll catch back up. We'll be the judge of that, guys. If you're dropping behind and we just don't see any way of you catching back up, not only because you're too far behind that pace you have to hold, but also because of how you're swimming. And if you take a break and you're kind of out of it, those are things we need to look for. You may not even notice those things, but we're trained to notice those. And so that's what we'll be looking for. So if we do end your day in the swim or any of these three splits, just keep in mind it's for your own safety, and so that the race can also continue. Sometimes that's a factor if we don't take people off the course or courses when we deem necessary. So trust that we always have your best interest in mind when we do it. Bike cutoff now onto the run. The run cutoff is 2:30 in the afternoon. That's the overall cutoff. We will likely institute some cutoffs along the way. We don't have those listed here. But again, we're just going to kind of be monitoring it at any given time. If you've fallen well behind the 14.42 miles an hour, 23.2 kilometers per hour pace that you need to hold at bare minimum to make the 8 hours and 25 minutes, we will pull you from the course. And again, using the argument that, yes, I know I'm behind, but I can catch up, isn't really going to cut it, because yeah, you could probably go faster and get back on track, but then you have to hold that to get ahead of the game there and not fall behind again. And that is not realistic in 99% of the situations that we've encountered. Keep in mind the bike is 121.5 miles versus the normal 112 for the long distance triathlon. That equals 195 kilometers. And again, 8 hours, 25 minutes will put you in 2:30 p.m. or before. And then as far as the run cutoff, we have that at 11 p.m. for the run course. That is 27 miles or 43.5 kilometers. 8 hours, 15 minutes is allowed. And that means you must average 18 minutes, 20 seconds per mile, which is 11 minutes, 23 seconds per kilometer. Again, same thing on this. We will have some checkpoints along the way that we'll be checking people and overall monitoring that in the same way I mentioned before. So do yourself a favor, and unless it's absolutely necessary, just obviously you want to train to be faster than these cutoffs, to not even have to worry about it. Okay, so don't train to just meet the cutoffs, because if you do that, you're probably not going to make it. It doesn't really work to your advantage in extreme triathlons. So set a goal for well above the cutoff and then try and beat even that goal to make sure you make it. Now, that being said, if things like weather come into play and make this race much more difficult than we have planned, our goal, obviously, first and foremost, is your safety and to continue the race in the exact nature it was planned. Whether that happens and the weather's bad, or we alter it for whatever reason, if that's necessary, we will always try and maintain the cutoffs so that the averages are still there. It may be, for instance, just an example, but if we were to shorten the swim, it may not be a 2 hours and 20 minutes total time you're allowed on the swim, because maybe it goes from almost 4,000 meters down to 3,000 meters. But we will have the total time you're allowed to swim average out to be 3 minutes, 37 seconds per 100 meters. So whether it's the mile pace or the meters or kilometers, the overall pace you have to maintain, we will try and keep that exactly like it says here, so that if you're trained to a certain pace, that you should still be able to maintain that. Guys, the only way that would change overall is if the weather conditions were just so bad with the wind that we had to just make different cutoffs altogether. But that's a worst case scenario, and we'll always do our best to honor what we have here online. All right, enough about that. Let's move on to the actual courses. The swim course, as I said, is planned right now at 2.4 miles, which is 3,862 meters. I will say that this being a first-year event and Iceland waters are particularly cold, if the waters are found to be 50 degrees Fahrenheit, 10 degrees Celsius, or anywhere right around that, whether it's above or below, we will likely shorten the course down to probably about 3,000 meters, which I believe is just under 2 miles. Now, that seems to be the acceptable distance for other extreme triathlons that have very cold water, 50 degrees, 10 degrees. That seems to be the distance that they can still do, so that the top swimmers and the ones towards the back still make it out in a safe way and still meet those pace cutoffs that are instituted. So just know that it could go from 2.4 miles down to just under 2 and around 3,000 meters. If that happens, I'll show you on the map what we would shorten. So let me jump over to the map, which I have out here. All right, so this is the swim course map. If it does stand and we do the entire 2.4 miles, nearly 4,000 meters, you'll start. Let me show you some pictures too, guys, real quick of the swim. We just actually have one while we were out there. We got this beautiful picture of the swim start. This was when tides were low. So what we're in is more of a protected bay that really isn't used for anything. There's a couple farms. We actually start on the shoreline of one of the farms, and there's another one in the far distance over here by the mountain you see. Out here you see this bridge. If you were to swim underneath this bridge, it would take you out into open ocean there, so out into the Atlantic. That is very strong current, whether it's coming in and the tides whether they're going out or coming in. This is strong current under this bridge. This swim will go towards these mountains. It'll hook left around a buoy or a set of kayaks, whatever we deem as the barrier that you're swimming around, and you'll shoot straight into shore. We'll have an inflatable and or some flags up, something that you can really sight off on shore. There's not a whole lot else out here, guys, so it's not going to be that difficult to see what you need to. But I will say, as you swim towards the exit, just make sure that you're not swimming towards the bridge and that you miss the exit, because that is a very strong current out there. The bridge is far enough away from the exit where it really shouldn't be a problem, and we're going to put some boats over there to ensure that doesn't happen. But just know you should not be sighting towards the bridge. So anyway, it's just a big open bay. There can be sea life in there. I think we did see, people were telling me it was a sea, they were saying it was a seal, and I was convinced it was a sea lion because it was pretty big. But we have those in Alaska, and they don't really ever mess with us. They play with the kayaks and swim under people from time to time. There could be some jellyfish out here. From what we saw, there were a couple washed up on shore, but from what we saw, they were the moon jellies that don't sting. That doesn't mean that there aren't others out there, but from our experience at Kelpman Mine, when I did that race, there were hundreds of moon jellies, and I was hitting them every time I took a stroke, and it didn't hurt at all. There was no stingers. So no guarantees at this event, but from what I've read and talked to people, they're not an issue. They're not the stinging kind. If we learn anything else or find anything else out, we will let you know on that. But just know there could be a little wildlife here or there, but it shouldn't be an issue. You're kind of, after you swing out here towards the mountain, you're coming right back towards the shore. So keep that in mind. As you start the swim, it should, from what we can tell, look kind of rocky like this. You just walk out into the kelp until you get deep enough where you can swim, and you just keep swimming until it opens up and it's deep, and you swim the course. So let's get rid of the swim picture for now, go back to the map. So our goal right now is to have some yellow buoys out here. They may actually be orange, but in any way, we'll try to put a couple of them out there. We're not exactly sure how deep it is. If it's too deep and the tides are too strong, then we'll identify a couple kayaks or boats with lights, things like that on them that you can swim around. If the course is shortened, all it will be is a straight shot swim from where you see the start here out kind of to this first buoy. We'll try to keep you away from shore a little bit so that you're swimming in deeper water, but it'll just be a straight shot point to point all the way to the exit here. Where you see my cursor right now is actually where the bridge is there, where you could swim under, and you're exiting here, which is a gravel beach. It's a real nice swim exit, especially because you're going to have swim socks or swim booties on. We're going to go ahead and say that we have it as mandatory, but the booties or socks, full wetsuits, and that means all the way up to your neckline, your wrists, and down to your ankles, are mandatory. So is a neoprene cap. Over top of that cap should be our silicone or latex swim cap that we give you as well, so we can identify you from the race, and that'll be bright colored. But all of those things are mandatory. We will say for sure it's optional, but you are allowed to have non-webbed neoprene gloves if you'd like. A little advice on gloves, and if you choose to wear them, and especially the booties, make sure that they fit well. Maybe a split toe between your big toe and the rest of your toes on your feet tends to keep them on better, and make sure they are nice and tight and secure. Not tight enough where they'll cramp you up, but tight enough where when they fill with water, they don't get loose and they're not flopping around and making you slower. So really do your research on that. Ask people on the group what they recommend. We'll go more through the mandatory gear on another meeting. We'll probably do mandatory gear and support team info in one meeting. So just make sure you tune into that. So as you're swimming along, you'll come out of the water on that nice gravel beach there. Your support will be there. They can help you out of the water. Your bikes will be there. So how this race is going to work logistically, guys, is that wherever you're coming from, whether it's Olafsvik, which is where a lot of the rooms are, or any of the other small little villages or towns, bed and breakfast you might be staying in, We definitely do not recommend staying in Reykjavik for the night before the event. It's just too long of a drive. Stay there before or after, just not the night before the event. Try to get at least halfway out here, so it's only an hour, hour and a half. If worst case scenario, that's what you end up doing, then fine. But going 2.5 hours in the car the morning before a race is just not smart. It's not going to be a good day if that's the case. If you haven't booked your room, do so immediately. It is tourist season in July, and it will be hard for you to get a room if you haven't done that. But try to stay as close to the swim area, Olafsvik, or any of those little towns in the peninsula are probably fine for that morning, the Snæfellsnes Peninsula. So when you come out in the morning, you are going to, you meaning the athlete, are going to be dropped off by whoever you have on your support team. You're riding with them in the car. You've got your bike. Do not go and put your bike stuff out first. Talk over with your support crew how you want your bike stuff laid out. It's not absolutely essential. It's perfectly laid out, just that it's in the right area. You're racked correctly. You know where it's at as a support crew member. And that is part of the trust that the athlete has to give the support. And the reason we say that is because we don't want everyone parking over here super early. We'll have a light, but it's not going to be the brightest thing in the world. You're going to have your own headlamps so that you can see really well in transition. It just could turn into a bit of a mess here based on where the parking's going to be, the highway, the size of transition. So it's better that you guys discuss how you want that laid out with your support ahead of time. And when you're driving in the morning, you drive in down 54 and you turn in to the street. I apologize ahead of time. I'm working on my Icelandic here, but Kolgafröger, I think is how they say it. That road here is just a dirt road that runs in front of the farm, and it runs all the way to where there's another dirt road that goes down to the swim start. We're going to allow you to come in on the main dirt road here, and right where you can turn to go down to the swim start, you won't be able to drive down there, but there'll be a little like cul-de-sac type area where the car can just swing a U-turn to head right back out. It's pretty convenient. And once you swing that U-turn, you drop your athlete off with whatever they need for the start, and you go back out, and then the support will drive down and park where we instruct you to park near the transition area. They'll get all your stuff and set it up for you in transition. So as an athlete, you'll be dropped off. You will not see your transition area or any of your equipment set up. That's up to support. You got to trust them. And then you'll start the swim. And once you finish, they'll help you out of the water, show you where your bike is, and get you on your way. So that's the flow of things in the morning. We're going to try to have fire barrels out here to warm yourself on. Possibly put some tents up just in case the wind or the weather is bad. Just bring some warm clothes. We will have an area where you can dump all your gear. You can put it in a bag, and then we'll have that for you after the race to claim that, and the day after as well if you forget to claim it or whatever. So we will bring all that stuff back. We don't expect you to go down there with the bare minimum, especially because it'll probably be, I would say, upwards of almost an hour wait while you're down there. So we'll do our best to have some coffee, water, Gatorade, maybe some snacks, some breakfast stuff. We're not going to guarantee a big spread or anything, but enough where you're down there an hour waiting. We want you to, have something to snack on. There'll be some restrooms down there of some kind. We'll take care of it. We'll make it happen for you guys. So that's the flow that morning. This water will be cold. The visibility, it's going to be deep once you get out here, so you won't be able to see much of anything. Just practice swimming in some cold water. You guys, we're going to have a practice swim the morning before the event, just like we do with all of our extreme triathlons. So come on out to that. Get in that water, get to know how cold that is if you haven't swam in that water prior, and just make it happen. So that's the swim course, guys. Let me go over to the bike course now. Close this out. All right. So when you look at this map here, the swim takes place right here where you see the 160 kilometer mark, where you see the green start. For those of you that are from America, our other two races are U.S. races in Alaska and Hawaii. This is obviously European-based, and the rest of the world, for the most part, uses the metric system. So we talk more about kilometers in this race than we do miles in the other ones. So just know that this green arrows, or this green start, is where you go, and you're going to head counterclockwise around the peninsula. So there is a section that you will complete twice. That section, you do one whole loop, and then this small section here from the start all the way to where you see the stop. And you can look, you can see two lines on the bike course. That signifies that you've done that section twice. It's not that long. You're not doing two complete loops, but it is necessary to get the distance in and stop in Olafsvik where we want you to. So you start the bike. This whole bike, as you can see by the elevation chart, which is in meters when you look at this, it's really rolling. It's super scenic. It almost feels at times like you're on a different planet. You'll see cliffs and ocean, and then you'll go into what looks like just barren land on another planet, like I said, and then all of a sudden you're in the mountains, and then you come back down. And so the roads here are a lot like they are in America. We don't tend to, unless we have to, we don't tend to put a road up over a mountain for no reason, like sometimes you see in Europe. For our event, I wish maybe they did, but this goes along the coastline around the peninsula, so it stays relatively flat at sea level for a lot of it. But as you can see on the elevation chart, there is some climbing. It does come out to be about almost 1,300 meters of climbing, which is 4,200 feet of climbing. So it's not that it's easy at all, especially with all the rollers. And if you think that's not a lot of climbing, just keep in mind that the wind is almost certainly going to be so brutal that it's going to be hard to keep control of your bike at times. So you're going to be very thankful that it's not 10,000 feet of climbing or 3,500 meters of climbing. You're going to have a hard enough time with the wind. Okay, so you go around going counterclockwise around this, and you complete one whole lap. And when you get back to where you started at the swim course, you should recognize that it'll be on your left. You're going to complete this section here going towards Olafsvik for the second time, and you will turn off to the left in Olafsvik. When you get over here, you'll have one more climb in Olafsvik up through what looks like a subdivision type area. There's a couple little switchbacks, and you'll end on what is almost like this platform parking lot on the backside of these apartments, but it's got almost a complete 360-degree panoramic view of what's kind of like a valley there with some farmland and then some waterfalls, and you can see the ocean because you're up so high. I mean, it is one of the most incredible views in T2 of the entire race as it is now. So absolutely stunning view, and then you start the run from there. So let me show you some pictures of the bike course. And sorry that we don't have more pictures, guys, but this is what we were able to get while we were out there. The weather wasn't so good. This is the bike course. As you can see, it's a 2-lane road with virtually no shoulder. Actually, not virtually no shoulder. There is no shoulder on most of it. But that being said, if you've done Alaska, the traffic in Alaska is significantly higher. Even though there's not much there, it's still 10, 20 times higher than it is here in Iceland. We rarely saw cars. When we did, they passed. They knew how to pass. They signaled. They were very polite. Nothing that we saw trying to impede a cyclist's progress or endanger them in any way. So we feel very confident that you guys will have a safe race, as safe as it can be for an extreme try. Just keep in mind that you're to ride as far over to the right as you can safely. There may be some gravel. You don't want to ride right on the white line. If there's an area where the shoulder gets bigger and you can, then great. But if it's like what you see in this picture, then what she's doing right here is great. Right in that area is perfect. Always be aware of your surroundings. You are required to have a red blinking light on the back, white solid light on the front, a helmet that has some type of either shield or you have sunglasses on. While you're on the bike, carry some flat supplies with you so you can change the tire, and maybe some Allen wrenches so that if a seat drops or aero bars drop, you can change that. You do have support out there. We'll go more over that, but they should know how to change a tire and help you with all that stuff. If you're doing an event like this and you can't change a tire yourself or do minor adjustments, and your support team can't do slightly more major adjustments if needed, then you're in a lot of trouble. So prepare for this, because we will not have any sag out there. It is 100% on you. And if something happens to your bike on the mechanic side of it and you can't take care of that, your day will likely be over and you will not make the cutoff, or you just won't be able to continue. So keep that in mind. Here's some other pictures just to the countryside, things that you'll see. There's a lot of Icelandic horses out there. This is part of more of the barren wasteland areas that are absolutely gorgeous. Some of the rolling mountains there, and some of the larger mountains you'll see with farms in front of them. It's just absolutely stunning. So, and that's just a taste of it. There's so much out there you'll see. Now, there was someone yesterday, and I didn't know about this because we were riding in a car most of the time. But there is at least one section where there are birds that they call them the killer birds of Iceland, and they may get a little too close for comfort. If it is anything we really have to worry about, we'll let you know. But just keep in mind that there'll be areas, and they look like small seagulls, where they just kind of dive bomb you a little bit, type deal. It sounds probably worse than it is. If I find out that I'm wrong on that, I'll let you guys know and we'll address it then. But I didn't even know about it till it was brought to our attention by someone yesterday, and I found a video, and they just seemed to be buzzing people. They didn't seem to really be running into them or anything. But hey, that's why you have a helmet, right? No, I'm kind of kidding there. But anyway, we'll look into that more and address it if it's an issue. So you get off your bike and you're going on to the run. Let's move on to that. So the run is really simple. It's an out and back, true out and back with a couple turns in it. You'll start off in T2 and you'll run down towards the road that you came in on the bike. The bikes will be on the opposite side of the road, the right side of the road, turning left into transition. You will be on the right side of the road. So there's no crossover there. You will see bikes coming in. A majority of you will see bikes coming in as you run out. So here is a blow up, a zoomed in view of Olafsvik. The green dot here is you starting the run. So you're running back down the way the bikes came in. So just know that the bike actually comes in the exact opposite direction of what you see the run going out here, these green arrows. So the run will go out, and some will be coming in as runners are going out, very few. But both of you guys going out and coming in on the run will be on the right side of the road. It's the right side going in. It'll be on your left. It's to your right going out. On your way in, it'll be on the left. But overall, it is the right side of the road. So it might get a little cramped in there. You might see someone running towards you on the side of the road that you're running out on. Just be courteous. Let them by. Run around each other if that's the case. And we'll talk more about that in the coming months and just before the event. Shouldn't be any issue at all with, going on to about 100 people signed up for the event and how spread out it is here. It shouldn't be any issue at all. So you run out and you'll make a right turn onto, I do not know how to pronounce this, the road that runs up over the mountain. I'm not going to pronounce it. I'll just slaughter it if I do. We're going to do a little pronunciation tape with some of our friends in Iceland. We've hired a crew that's put on races in Iceland, and they're our main go-to for everything. They've been amazing. They're awesome. So we'll do a little thing where they pronounce all of the main roads that you're going to see here, and just do any descriptions that they need to. That way you guys have correct pronunciations instead of me trying to pronounce it and just doing a bad job. So we'll get that done and get that out there as soon as we can too. So you're going to run up over the mountain here. As you run up over the mountain, if you stay on the main road and it's all dirt, this is what it's going to look like. Let me show you pictures of this, guys. So when you turn right off the main highway that you were biking on, it's a climb just like this. You'll see this waterfall, and you're going to climb up this entire first half of the first half. So the first 25% of the run is going to be getting to the top of this mountain. And when I say the top, it's not technically the top. It's as high as this road you're on actually goes. So you're going to get to the highest part of this road on the mountain. And when you get there, it'll look something like this. This is actually the view coming back, but you would be coming up this way. If you can see my cursor, you'll be coming up this way, looking away. Your back will be to what you see in this picture. You'll see this on the way back, but this is getting up there almost to the highest part, and you are all the way down here at sea level. So it is a big climb for the first 25% of the run. Then once you get to the top part of that, so here's the first view of it. Here's another view. That's actually headed the opposite direction, but this is that waterfall you just saw. Actually, it's over here. And so let me go back to the map. So as you can see, this first 25% is a climb up to about 600, just over 600 meters. So about 1,800, 1,900 feet on the first climb. So you'll go all the way up, and that climb ends right around 13K, 14K. So what is that? About 9 miles or so. So you'll top out, where is it? Right about here. These markers are in K. So right around in here is where you'll top out the first time, as high as you'll go. You'll start your descent as you come all the way down. And you come all the way down, and to get the extra mileage, we'll have to turn you left onto a side road when you're almost all the way down, and you'll descend the remaining amount all the way to a parking lot here where a waterfall is. We'll turn you around. There'll at least be a sign there, probably a volunteer, and you'll turn around at that parking lot, maybe just before, and you'll go all the way back the exact way you came, with the exception of the end here, which I'll go over in a minute. But the second you turn around, you'll start climbing again. So you went all the way up, and as you descended here, this is the U-turn point on the elevation chart. And as you come back up towards the highest part, which is right around 28, 29K, that is actually, I guess it's over 30K showing on the elevation chart here, but right around in this area, you'll peak again at your highest point, and then you'll descend all the way back to Olafsvik and to your finish line. So as you're coming back, this is actually the first descent before you hit. Once you start descending, this is an aerial shot of the road as it winds all the way down here, all the way down. You'll come all the way around this little mountain right here. That is on the foothill of the big mountain that you're on. And then you'll wind all the way over here out of view to the U-turn, and you'll come all the way back up. This is the second ascent after you turn around, coming all the way. You'll come all the way back up this road, and then you'll descend. So as you descend, these are the pictures that you'll see as you come over the top and you see Olafsvik. It's kind of covered here. You can't really see it all that well. But this is the view as you come back down, and then you'll see this as you come back down and you go towards the finish. So you travel on the true same exact path that you took coming out. The only difference is once you turn onto the highway here, when you turn left again, you don't go on the side that the bike's on, which would make sense. But the reason we don't have you over there is, one, not to cross traffic, and two, the bikes will be over there, so we don't want to mess with that. So as you come in, you'll stay on the same side of the road, which will be your left then, that you came out on, dodging anyone that's coming towards you, and you'll turn onto the side road. And this is the only split off from that original path, and it's down this road that leads by a farm and towards it's like a horse trail now that goes back into the mountains. And you finish, as of now, at the foot of some old ruins that they're renovating into what looks like a building. I don't know if that'll be done by the time we get there, but it's the foot of this really, really great waterfall down underneath T2. So that's what we're planning on, guys. If it changes, it shouldn't change too drastically, but that's the run course. We are going to have about every 10K, we will have a water hydration goose, maybe some bars, a stop for you. It could possibly have some grocery items. It just depends on what we can get and get out there. It will be enough definitely to give you guys some energy to replenish. Bring anything that's specialized that you may need, and enough, whether it's a Camelback, fuel belt, whatever you want to carry stuff in, but you need to be able to make it the 10K in between each of the stops. So just keep that in mind, guys, and we'll go more over support options and mandatory gear and suggestions on how to do this. We'll go over more of that in another video that we're going to do. So that's really all I have right now for the courses. Just keep training hard, guys. I will say this: Alaska, I went over that the other day and posted a video for that course. That course is so steep in areas and so difficult in those steep areas that you really can't run them. If you try, you stop really quick. You could run more of this course. So this run course essentially could seem harder because it's not quite as steep, but it is a lot longer of a climb. So pace yourself with that, guys. You still need to build the strength in your legs, not just that endurance and speed, but you need to build the strength, whether that means strength training with weights, whether that means stair climber, a treadmill on an incline, running your own mountains and hills you have. Don't assume if you're a flatlander that you can get by just with the distance of all of it and just training lots of hours and that endurance. You are going to need to work on that strength. So just some advice there. And we'll go over more later. So thanks for tuning in, guys. I hope that helps and you're able to wrap your head around the course. Talk to you later. Thanks.